that whatever he does, he would think well with respect to every stakeholder. He would ask the question, will this decision of mine enhance respect for me and for the Tata Group? And therefore, I have no doubt at all that whatever he does, as I have seen him do when he was leading TCS, would be to the best of the stakeholders.
We're discussing N. Chandrasekharan's the last 1 year at Tata, at the helm of Tata Sons. We have a special panel decoding the subject for us. Zio Modi is with us, Mr. Ramodarai is with us, we have Ananta Narayan, and we have Mr. V.R. Mehta. Thanks very much, all of you, for staying with us. Ma'am, let me come to you. Do you, and you must interact with a fair number of Tata Group companies regularly, with the new people who Chandra has brought into the group, not just at the group level, but also at company-specific levels, do you see any change, more aggression maybe, in the way the group or the group companies themselves are working?
I think, well, the message has gone out from Central Command in the sense of what is the messaging that Chandra has sent out. I think we've seen some interesting new arrivals that the market knows about. Banmali is back. Saurav is, of course, taking a very active role across all the companies, as he should. There's a new General Counsel, Shubha, who is again making his impact felt. At the operating level, I think that, and I don't know for sure, but the sense I get is that there seems to be more communication, coordination, possibly a lot more discussion, and making sure that Sons and the operating companies are probably aligned on strategy. The Sons has been ready to put its money on the line and write checks. And I think that, the operating companies are seeing the support coming in terms of putting your money where your mouth is.
Ma'am, taking that point forward, I mean, as mentioned, maybe more aggression, there is this feeling that Tata Group is going to be a lot more acquisitive. We're hearing what Tata Steel is doing, allegedly one of the top bidders for a couple of steel assets out there. Many have made the comparison with what they did with Chorus acquisition many years back. I mean, is that a fair comparison that on that specific transaction, potential transaction? And generally, what are your thoughts on acquisitions and how the group may approach it from here?
I think, it's each case has its own story, right? So if you're looking at what they are at least proposing to do, according to what Chandra has said to the press, there is I think, definitely a strategy to divest non-core. So that has come out publicly. And on the other hand, there is not a hesitation to bid for good assets as well, as in the steel sector, and maybe more than the steel sector, depending on the opportunities that come out. So I don't think it's, one general strategy. I think the house is nimble, and where they see an opportunity to get market share or get good assets at a reasonable price, I'm not sure that they will hesitate. I think they have the ability to raise funds just based on the reputation of the group. And I don't think Chandra will pass on opportunities if he sees that they add value. And on the other hand, there is a distinct approach that, we don't want to be cluttered with things that are not our mainstay. So I'm not sure it's just acquire. I think it's divest and acquire.
Fair enough. Ananta, in your report, you'd mentioned how consumer-facing businesses should be a priority for the group. Has that been done? Do you see that happening? I mean, for the stock markets, it's a big area of interest as well.
Yeah, no, so I think firstly, there's no doubt that that will be in a focus area for the group. That is the one single area that all foreign investors are excited about in India over the next several years. And as I mentioned, if you exclude financial services, that area just represents about 10% of the group's turnover, which is really low. But again, we've just had 1 year with Chandra at the helm, right? And to use an analogy which probably is being overused today, we've just covered the first few kilometers of a marathon. So he obviously would have had to prioritize what his objectives are in the first year. And I think a greater focus has probably been spent in correcting some of the problems in the larger companies. And we discussed some of that. So there may be something happening in the background with the domestic consumption theme. We don't know that yet. But I'm sure it's a matter of time before we'll probably hear more from him on a strategy around that area.
Acquisitions maybe, Ananta, in that space?
So yeah, I think it's it's a possibility. So I don't think the group has ever shied away from acquisitions. And in areas which are a big focus area, I think that's a possibility.
And generally, there is this feeling that profitability levels across group companies will go up. With what he did at TCS, he'd bring that same focus here as well across group companies. Is that asking for too much? Because these are separate companies, large companies in their own right with their own managements.
No, see, I don't think so. And again, I gave you the statistic about the ROE, right? 60 companies have ROE less than 10%. If you take the top 10, Tata Group companies, only 4 of them have ROE greater than 15%. Now, some of them have been impacted, because of cyclical issues. Some of them have probably been impacted because of, historical actions that were taken. But that's clearly suboptimal. And someone like Chandra, who's run TCS, who's extremely focused on shareholder returns, is bound to identify, I think, areas where improvements can be made. So I don't think it's asking for too much. It's not going to happen overnight. It might take some time. But I think clearly over the next few years, we should see a significant improvement in the ROE of the group.
Okay, that'll be music to the stock markets and the financial markets in general. Mr. Ramodarai, as I wrap this up, I want to give you the last word. According to you, any specific business segment or company which according to you, Chandra needs to focus on in 2018 and beyond?
I always feel every company has its own set of challenges. If you take the power business, the Mundra and the coal issue has to be sorted out. That's very clearly articulated. If you take the consolidation in the steel business with the European steel operations, with the Tata Steel, and the growth of Tata Steel with the infrastructure funding increased by the Government of India, all these are important milestones that need to be achieved. To me, the journey, once you have done the structuring or the restructuring or the focus or the raising the bar has been done, performance is what determines. So to me, irrespective of the individual companies, performance and like I said, the cash generation and the acceleration in the growth vis-a-vis the industry is absolutely critical. If you are a brand, if you are a $100 billion corporation, beyond the $100 billion, it is the cash and the profitability of each of the companies. Those are the things which I would say we need to see as we go into the future.
Okay, that is well put. Mr. Ramodarai, Mr. Mehta, Ananta, Zia Modi, thank you very much, all of you, for being with us here, helping us understand the last 1 year under Chandra and what needs to be done. With that, it's a wrap on this special coverage of 1 year event Chandra as Tata Sons chairman. We leave you with thoughts of Vallabh Bhansali of Enam Securities, who we spoke with earlier in the day. Thanks very much for watching.
I think it's an exemplary case of an uncluttered mind. I think in India we haven't seen many minds of this quality. When I see Chandra, I see this software man with an extraordinary sense of finance and direction. The fact that he ran a large empire in terms of people employed was less of a qualification, but he took software solutions to hundreds of clients around the world and believed in those solutions, and that's what he has brought to